Hello everybody, standing behind me in this amazing crypt in the heart of London lies an even bigger secret that this place is still yet to be documented and revealed truly. So let's take a look inside and stay tuned. You're going to love this one. Bye for now. St Pancras New Church was built in 1819 and finished in 1822. And with that came this beautiful crypt, which was designed to contain 2,000 coffins. It was deemed as a slightly better alternative to the overcrowded village burials for those who could afford it, as well as being a useful revenue for the church. The first burial was that of Ellen Strahay, who was aged 12 and died on the 6th of June 1822. The last burial was that of Harry Pearce, aged 71 and died on the 27th of October 1854. Burials were discontinued by order in council dated the 21st of May 1855. But today in this video we focus our explore on its time when it was used as an air raid shelter for both world wars. It's hard to imagine now when you look around London these days to picture the rubble and the chaos of its World War II past, when the air raid sirens went off echoing through the city and the panic and anxiety it would have caused, not knowing if you would survive another day, or even knowing that when coming out of an air raid shelter, that the home that you had lovingly lived in is now just a pile of rubble and smoke. However, it wasn't uncommon to find that most church crypts, not only in London but in other counties around the area, would have been used as shelters, due to the obvious nature of them being underground, as well as it being a quick alternative to building a brand new shelter in the area, making them a strange place to be, knowing that you would be surrounded by the echoes of the dead. During the Blitz in January and May 1941, the church itself was hit when the church roof was severely damaged and then the windows completely blown out, proving how active this area was and the importance of its crypt as a shelter. The crypt is still the final home of 557 people, and in 2002 the crypt became a gallery space for artists from all across the world, and it's because of their kindness and passion that I've had the special access into this site. So let's explore. Let's go take a look inside. Okay, so we've made it inside. This place, I mean, I've already just been guided around by one of the caretakers. What an incredible atmosphere. It's relatively small in here, but the first thing beyond all of that, as we begin our journey to explore it, I just want to say a massive thank you to Annie and the wonderful couple of staff that I've met here, including the caretaker, and I think it's the receptionist, for making me feel so welcome here. The general public, such as yourselves, can visit this because it is reused as an art gallery. On today's visit, fortunately for me, there's no artwork in there at all. It's completely empty, and it's going to hopefully go, as of filming this, there'll be another exhibition very soon. So check the link below if you, the general public, want to visit it as an art gallery and a crypt, and now you're knowing that it's an air raid shelter, so it's kind of got history and art all mixed into it, which is fantastic. And then in the grounds of the church above us, there's obviously some art there as well for everybody to check out in the grounds. So just amazing. So privileged for doing this. So without further ado, let's check this out and let's just see its multiple uses. You know, let's have a look. And yeah, I'll tell you what though, I'm glad the lights are on, because the atmosphere, as you can imagine in any crypt, the atmosphere was totally different when the lights were off. And I was thinking, okay, like this is obviously a typical thing, you know, London Underground for whatever reason always has those special atmospheres, doesn't it? But do you know what? Let's go have a look. Come on. So welcome inside the actual crypt itself. I want to talk to you about the layout first. Now, in the history lesson, you did see an image of the layout. It's cut a little bit short because what they've done is that they've cut it off to be used as storage. So we won't be accessing that, but we will go there. In fact, if I just show you it, it's there. So where those black sort of shutters are, there's another one here. Again, I will talk about layout properly. There's another one there, and obviously beyond that, that's obviously where they're using it as storage. So yeah, pretty crazy. So let's talk about the layout of it. So what it is it's a T shape, which goes right underneath the church, as you would expect. Although, as you can imagine, it's not as big as the church, because the church is huge. But let me just show you. So you obviously saw me walking down here. This was obviously one of the entrances. And this is on a T shape. So if you think of it there being one, and then we're going across the length of the T. Excuse my tripod. So let's just walk across here, and then I'm going to concentrate on each other little section within here, and I've got some amazing history to tell you on top as well. So as we're walking in, you see, I mean, this is crazy. Like, you've got some original church benches or church set of church benches, and then if we look up here, that's the other entrance on the T. And yeah, whew. It has got that atmosphere, everybody. There is definitely that atmosphere, and I think it's deceptive because every other time you'd be down here would be a gallery and there'd be people down here, but it's just me on my own, and the lights, these warm coloured lights, really do give me some form of comfort, which I absolutely love. But as you know, I do like the dark. So yeah, I sort of felt at home when the lights were off first. I thought, oh, amazing, different atmosphere, and then the lights were on. I was like, oh, okay. So let's start from the top section of the T. So as we said before, this is our T shape here, goes off in a curve, follows round, and then there are two entrances that would have been. That entrance there, the one that's not accessible to the public, or to anybody really, that's the permanently shut one, I think. That's on the main road. And then you've got London Euston Station literally there. I mean, you could literally throw a stone, you'd be there. And then we've got the individual crypts that are here, which, I mean, yeah, spooky times for all of you out there. I'm just going to get my little torch out. There you go, wow. So yeah, that's a bit spooky, isn't it, really? Knowing that there's still some bodies and everything in here. Delightful. And then they're all here. Here's some individual little tombs. There we go. Oh, blimey. There you go. Oh. It says, let's look at the bottom. It says St Pancras Church, first stone laid by His Royal Highness, what's that? The Duke of York, 1819. Brilliant. Look at this. Just something very calming about it in a strange way, I suppose. A bit of masonry that's there. And then we've got the final one on this section of the T. Oh, it's quite the atmosphere that it gets through this is just strange, man, but it's no stranger than any other place I've been in. And then what we need to then do is, so like I said, we're at the top of the T now. What we're going to do is we're going to head through to each individual passage. So there's 3 of them, and we should really have a look, shouldn't we? So what I'm going to do is just take you with me now, I suppose. Probably the best idea. Here we go. Ooh, spooky. It says, a family vault of Edward Holmes Baldock, 1842. There you go. Edward Holmes Baldock, is in there. aged 68 and aged 28 years old. Oh, I'm going to need my torch again. Oh, look at that. It's crazy to think that from what they've told me is that they're actually still they're still here. Oh, look at that. So this would have been used as the air raid shelter, which we know because that's really our main purpose for today. But like I said, you can't ignore the history whilst you're here, can you? So you can imagine these families that were here, huddled up. There's a wooden door frame looking. So you can imagine just, I mean, all the different purposes of this place. Being a crypt, and then more importantly, being an air raid shelter. Should we turn the light on? There you go. I should have done that when we came in. Yeah, it's crazy really, isn't it? I've got to turn all these off. I've got to remember to turn them all off when I leave. So, we're now in the central one. Like I said, there's 3 different portals, I suppose, or entrances, and obviously each one is got its own sort of vibe and feel to it. But knowing that this was a crypt, oh, that's quite interesting, isn't it? So I love the lighting. We'll come back to that. What else is here? Some more lights. Let's turn these on because we need to see. We need to see the lights. I'm trying to figure out where the others are. Maybe not. I can't believe how lucky and fortunate I am to see this. It's crazy to think. And they're at the bottom and it is completely pitch dark down here. So again, you've got to understand that really this was being repurposed for air raid. I mean, that's black, isn't it? I just look through the camera, I'm like, you're not going to get that. Look, if I come through here, you can see. That's crazy, isn't it? So, I mean, what we've got to understand is that, yes, like I said, it's a crypt, but what makes this really unique and really special was that it was used for a World War II air raid shelter. In fact, it was for World War I and World War II. And you can understand why it would make sense, because we've seen these before in plenty of our videos. Natural arches that are just obviously repurposed. It makes sense. But the best bit, now this is the best bit, look at that. That's not the best bit, but it's pretty cool, isn't it? And then we're in the central part here. Now, this is what, now I've got my torch on, you can see. Look at that, sacred William Smithies, Esquire, formerly of Colchester, who died in 1835. So we're looking at the tombs. In the vault underneath are deposited the remains of Elizabeth, the beloved wife of George Wigg, Esquire, of this parish. 39. Wow, no age at all, is it? They're just all here, being put aside. Who's this? Henry Thwaites, eldest son of Henry Thwaites. Was that 51 years of, in the 51st year of his, I can't read that. Unbelievable. I could read those for ages, but I don't think that for our purpose today we need to be very, very stoic in our outlook. So yeah, the caretaker, well, so there's a couple of caretakers here, but the one who kindly greeted me down here, his mum, I think, or I'm going to say that, I apologise if that's incorrect, remembers it being an air raid shelter and that it was used extensively. The only thing that I couldn't find out about it was how many people it would have held. So church bells. What I didn't find was how many people it held. And obviously, just by knowing in your history lesson, obviously we were talking about how many bodies it could potentially contain. That's obviously not going to equate to the amount of real bodies that this would have contained. But you can see that it's it would have been extensive, and it would have housed a lot of people down here. And obviously they probably would have taken up pitches, like which is pretty much common in most sort of London areas. So for example, you would have taken, I'll come back to that. Yeah, so for example, you probably would have had families. One family would have taken a sort of pitch, for example, that would have been here. I'm assuming, because that's really quite common within most of these places. What I mean by pitch is that you probably would have had, for example, one family being located in here, not necessarily in here, but in one of these arches that we saw. And then obviously that would have been theirs to be allocated. But it's kind of crazy because you wouldn't have known any different than this wouldn't, to know that obviously you're in a crypt, you're very aware of that, but it's also not surprising that it was an air raid shelter. It is just purpose built for it. We're not too far underground, but I'll give you a rough estimation of it, because let's just have a look at this. So knowing that the ground level is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, about 15 steps to the top. And each step's about should we say about a foot, just a little bit smaller than that. So let's just say we're a good size we're a good height down here. Let's see, some more masonry here. Wow. Let's keep looking, shall we? Come on then. Right, so we're now in the final corridor, which I got distracted with while I was talking about the air raid shelter or the purpose for it. And this is what we were looking at. It says Emily Jane Dale, born the 23rd of March 1803, died the 7th of April 1849. It just puts it into so many different contexts, doesn't it? There we go. So this is obviously what we've come down and in and around. So what we've got to realise is that with the layout of this, it does extend further down, but not too much. And like I said, that's all used for storage. And then this is a cross section. Then you've got the separate tunnel or separate part of the crypt on its own in a single corridor. But it all extends down here. And just talking to you now, realising my voice it's very echoey down here. It's very cavernous, as you would expect. But what an atmosphere. Absolutely incredible. Okay, so what I think we should do is, whilst we're here, we should take advantage of documenting this as best as possible. I think we should take one more final look around. I've shown you the layout of it. I've told you about its history and its historical purpose in, obviously, its multiple phases. But really, let's just take one more look, because it's important, like I said, that we get this in the truer context of things. And we really try to do the best possible thing we can to document it. So if that's okay with you, let's just keep having a look for our final look round, I think. Should we do that? Come on then. So, obviously, this is the first corridor, or the one from the main entrance that we've come down. And obviously, this is our vault that we've had a look at. And then, when we come down, this is really the principle where the actual idea of where you get the real feel of what this could have been like as an air raid shelter is when we walk through there. So let's walk through there. Okay, so we're now in really the best part that you can sort of surmise from it being an air raid shelter, because as you can see, there's what we showed, there was a sort of door frame there. Even though it's very echoey and cavernous in here, you'd be actually quite comfortable down here. We know that above us, the church was hit during the Blitz a couple of times, and it took around 8 years after that to actually rebuild those fallen parts of the church, so the roof and the windows. So, I mean, you've got to understand how active this is, and more importantly, because we mentioned that Euston train station is, I mean, you could throw a stone and it's there. To understand that in context and say, obviously, Euston, the whole area was bombed. I mean, we are in central London, as far as I'm concerned, prime target for German bombers. So these types of shelters, these pre-existing shelters that you wouldn't imagine really at one point. You know, come down to the crypt where all these dead bodies are, and we can hang with them whilst we're whatever. To understand that, knowing that you're here sleeping with the dead, it's you can't imagine it. But desperate times, as we know, called for desperate measures. The same as obviously as we know in our history that the disused stations or even the underground stations as well were repurposed. So if you put it into that context, it really makes it quite special. One final look, and let's go over it one more time. So here we are, and again, a tiny little shelter. We're going to go through this one now. Actually going to go in it, and it definitely can be used as a shelter, there's no question about it. It's tiny, but it would have been so effective. And that's all you need. You just needed these tiny little, vaulted areas, just enough to keep you safe. There's ventilation bricks up there as well, like we said, this one with the door frame. That's all you needed. You didn't need anything too fancy. All of these little passages here. And if you can imagine, if you can replace the sound of police sirens with air raid sirens, and you've got this haunting image of what it would have been like in London. And again, this is so crazy to sort of see these tombs here, especially in this macabre type of light that's here. I mean, it sort of adds this intense atmosphere. But funny enough, when I'm down here, it's really not that bad. It was to begin with, because like with any sort of structure, you sort of takes your breath away to begin with and you feel quite overwhelmed. But yeah, no, it's a beautiful place. And that's the thing, it's beautiful. Its structure is absolutely beautiful. These are our three little individual ones, and then the first stone that was laid. How incredible. So let me just take you here as well. So from where we were, our entrance, you've got these curtains obviously that are hiding extra bits, but again, another vault. And then you've got this, which is on the opposite side. I mean, it mirrors itself quite well. And then the bright light of London, which would have been a perfect sight when you came out of here, to sort of feel very comfortable, safe and reassured. Let's just take one more final look into the final corridor, and I think that wraps it up. Let's go. Okay, so this is the interlinking chamber that we've seen a couple of times now, and what a perfect way to end. As we know, it does back off a little bit more, but brilliant. Just the atmosphere here is incredible. The opportunity to record it is just even better, but more importantly that I got to take you along with me, and that's the most important thing, and to document this for the amazing history that it is. Hopefully we'll be doing some more on this channel for you, some exclusive access places. Again, you can visit this as a member of the public when it's open to the art gallery, and I thoroughly recommend you should do it. The link will be in the section below. But as I stand next to these tombstones, I'm fondly reminded of how London was such a vulnerable place, even more than we would imagine, when you're having to use crypts as forms of air raid shelters, and that's what I wanted to get across today. So hopefully you enjoyed this wonderful little snippet of London, central London. I will be doing more, and I will be doing some more unique ones, because that's what we do at Phoenix History, don't we? We don't do all the same stuff that everybody else does. We try to make it a little bit unique for you, don't we? Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Annie and the rest of the staff here. It was a true honour, and I'm so humbly grateful. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Stay safe no matter what you're doing, everybody. And to finally end on, as I walk around, I'll say goodbye, and I'll see you all very soon, because history matters, doesn't it? Just take care, everybody. Ready? Come on, kapow.